What is up, Wisdom? Today I have not a verse devotion, but kind of I guess a motivational, if you will, because I'm going to go into Job 38 and kind of speaking about a little bit about about situations, complaining, a little bit of humility, because it's been on my mind the last couple of weeks. Because it's like I kind of relate to Job in a couple of ways, not entirely, but in a couple of ways that you know, you get a lot of warfare, even though you might not really have done anything for it. You know what I mean? And it's kind of where I've been to, not often, but I've thought about a little bit. Like, some of it, I'm just like, why? Just why? Why? And so, with that being said, I want to go into Job 38 as to just kind of help some of us, if not all of us that watch this video, get humbled just a little bit in these situations, because there's always a reason why God has things happen. And so I'm going to go from verse to verse. I'm not going to try and, read it, linearly. Just going to choose a few verses and stuff like that. So in verse 4, Job 38 verse 4, it says, "Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding." And in 18, it says, "Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare thou knowest it all." And 22 and 23, "Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war?" And then 24, "By what way is the light parted which scattereth the east wind upon the earth?" So we kind of see what God's kind of saying here to Job, because Job was kind of at the point where, as I said, he was at the point where he was getting a little bit prideful, acting like, I've done nothing wrong. Which, that is true. You've done nothing wrong to get all this, but there's always a reason for it, and there's always going to be a blessing that comes after it. There's always a blessing that comes after it. Now, how big the blessing, I don't know, because I'm not, I don't know what everyone goes through. So how would I know, right? But just giving an observation. So God goes through this whole chapter speaking about how he was creating the earth and how he has set things in order, set the weather to do specific things, setting up even, how to deal with certain problems and how to fix things, right? And he's basically telling Job, do you have the understanding do you know how to do this? Do you understand why I'm doing this or how I did this? Basically. And even in 39, it goes into it. Because, again, God goes and does this quite a bit. And then going to verse 42, he says, "I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee." And so, with that being said, this is kind of when Job kind of realizes what he got himself into by kind of arguing with the Lord. And trust me, it's not a win-win situation. It's not. No, don't. So, with that being said, humility is something that we should have coming out of this, realizing that, what we may go through, yes, it may be severe at times or extreme, but there's always a reason to it, and then there's always something that comes after it. We just don't know when or how, sometimes, but, that's why we got to keep on to God and look at him instead of looking at the storm, which, I'm gonna be honest, don't be like Peter in the first time around, where he was walking on the water and then looked around the storm and fell. Be how Jesus was, walking on the water, but obviously, when we walk on the water, we are looking at Jesus. We don't look at the storm, because if we look, we're going to start drowning, just like Peter. But if we just look at Jesus, we're going to be walking towards him. So throughout that storm, just walk towards Jesus and keep that humility. And sometimes that lesson may be to be humble or to be patient, you know. So with that being said, I pray that y'all get that like I did, and I'm going to mention the verses that I went into down in the description. I'm going to try to remember every single one of them. But I pray that y'all have a good rest of your day. I love y'all. God bless you. And Jesus Christ loves you more. Amen and amen.